Welcome back. So before we even get started, I just want to say that it is not lost on me that I spent all that time and effort fixing and tooling up that LeBlanc, doing all that work, and as soon as I got it just where I wanted it, I turned around and sold it. The irony is not lost on me, but you know, such is life, no regrets, right? But that brings us to today's project. If you've seen any of my other videos, you may be aware that I like to use 5C collets on my lathe. You know, if it'll fit in a 5C collet, I probably will use one. In my opinion, the best way to do 5C collets on a lathe, barring, you know, something like a super expensive Harding speed chuck or something like that, the best way, in my opinion, is with one of these. You're probably aware what this is, but just in case you're not, this is an internal spindle taper adapter, right? So this goes right in your spindle nose, fits right into the internal taper, you know, Morse taper 3, 4, 5, whatever you have in there. This one happens to be a Morse taper 5, but it fits right into that taper on the back end, and then on the front end, it gives you a 5C taper. So what this does is it basically references your collet directly off of the taper in your spindle nose. So they tend to be really accurate with like very minimal effort, right? I really like that. And I really liked this one, which was in the LeBlanc, and so I want to reproduce that for this machine. Unfortunately, that one won't work because, like I said, it's a Morse taper 5, and this machine has a Morse taper 4.5. So I have gone ahead and done a quick and dirty CAD drawing here. This is the part that we're going to need to make. Like I said, it's quick and dirty, but it has all the necessary measurements and features that we will need to make this thing work. So that should be good to go. And we also have what's left of this 4140 pre-hard. This is the same stuff that I used to make that drawbar sleeve adapter thingamajig to adapt that drawbar to the LeBlanc a couple videos ago. So I think this stuff will work pretty good, and I've got just enough of it left. So yeah, that's the plan. I guess no sense wasting any time. Without further ado, we will head over to the lathe, get this chucked up, and get to work. Step one, of course, is to face off the part, and we are also going to drill for a center. This piece of material is, it's kind of heavy, and it's also sticking out a little bit more than is optimal, so we are definitely going to want some tailstock support here. Okay, so to get started here, we're just going to turn the entire length of the stock down to the major diameter of this shoulder feature that you're seeing highlighted on the screen right now. You will notice that I am definitely struggling to break a chip, but I'm not terribly concerned. We will try some different inserts and play around with the speeds and feeds and just try and get a feel for the machine and try and get good chip formation if we can, but mostly I just want to get acquainted with the new machine right now. Okay, now we can mark out and start working on turning down the major diameter of this tapered section here, or what will be the tapered section. So the major diameter on the Morse taper 4.5 is 1.5 inches, and so we will bring this section down to just about 1.5 inches. This is just roughing everything that we're doing here, so we are leaving a little bit of room to come back and finish everything later. We are coming up on where we want to be with this major diameter, and so I have switched to a high-speed steel tool. I want to end up with kind of a smooth matte finish on this section because this is where the taper is going to be, and one of the I guess easiest ways that I know to do that is with a sharp high-speed steel tool, slow spindle speeds and slow feed rates. So I'm experimenting with that here just to make sure that I'm going to end up with the result that I want when we go to actually put the taper on this section. Okay, as you can see, we now have the general shape of our part roughed out here. And now we need to get set up to cut this section into the Morse taper. This is the taper adapter that currently fits in the spindle of the lathe. So basically what we're doing by using this as a reference like this is just transferring this exact taper onto the compound. And by running the indicator back and forth and just bumping the compound around until this reads 0 throughout the entire travel, we're just copying this exact taper to the compound. And hopefully, because we know this is a good fit, if we can do a good job copying this to our compound, we should end up with a really good fit on our part here. All right, so here is the slightly unfortunate news. I would love to use tailstock support for this. However, the tailstock simply isn't going to fit, unfortunately. Not a huge deal. It just means that we're going to have to pay extra close attention to make sure that we're not getting any chatter and that we're not pushing the part around with tool pressure or anything like that. So yeah, not a huge deal. We'll work with what we've got. So yeah, I think we're ready. Let's get started. Well, I know that it doesn't look like the nicest finish that you've ever seen, but I promise that it feels nice. It's nice and smooth, and that's what's important. So hopefully that'll give us a nice fit inside of that taper. However, you know, the finish won't matter if we didn't get that taper right. So we want to get that checked, which means we got to get this separated from the rest of the stock, which I think we'll do in the bandsaw. I am going to take the easy way out on this one and just let the saw do the work. Okay, well, here is our part separated from the stock. Not looking too bad so far, but I guess moment of truth is we need to see if it fits how we did with this taper. So let's check it out here. It feels pretty good. Let's see if we can get it to just a little bit of pressure. Oh, that's not too bad. Oh yeah. Okay. I think that'll be all right. We'll really find out when we start machining on it, but feels pretty good, you know. I mean, it's in there. I'm pulling hard. I can't pull it out. So, but yeah, let's go ahead and move forward and see how things go. Okay, so real quick before we get started, I just want to mention, it's probably obvious, but in case it's not, the order of operations here is kind of important. There's a reason we've done things the way that we have up to this point. So we started out by machining the backside and the taper, and we did that so that we could then install the part in the machine and do all of the rest of the features with it in situ installed in the spindle. This is going to give us the best chance at a high degree of accuracy for all of these other features, which are the features that the collet will interface with. So we need to face this off and then drill and bore and then machine in the 10-degree taper for the 5C collets. And because we're doing that with the part installed in the machine, we should end up with a pretty darn accurate 5C collet adapter when all is said and done. So yeah, I just wanted to call that out just in case it wasn't super obvious. All right, so for this hole, of course, we're going to start off with a center drill, and then we will be drilling a 1/4 inch pilot hole, and finally we will move directly to a 3/4 inch drill to make room for our boring bar. After having done this, I am now confident that I could have gotten away with a 1-inch drill through this material on this machine and not had any problems whatsoever. However, seeing as part of what I'm doing with this project is just getting a feel for what this lathe is capable of, I felt like 3/4 inch was big enough to give me an idea as to how the machine would handle larger drills, while at the same time not being so big that I had any concern that it wouldn't be capable of handling it. So it handled it very well, and yeah, I feel confident that this machine's capable of much more, and was very happy to have that confirmed. We are coming up on the dimension for our bore here, and I don't know how well you can see that, but I am not happy with the finish that's coming off of this boring bar. Let me see if I can show you what the problem is. Okay, I don't know how well you can hear me talking, but I'm going to just catch my thumb on this thing and listen. So hopefully that came through in the video, but there is like a resonant frequency to this bar, and it's always there, and this thing always wants to vibrate at that frequency, and because of that I've never been able to get a decent finish out of this bar. So I have switched to a different boring bar, and hopefully this being a bit heavier than that last bar will allow us to get a decent finish for these last couple passes we need to take on this bore before we get it to size. Alright, well that finish is certainly much nicer, and we are right on size for the hard-inch collets, but oddly enough the south bend collets are just a little bit tight towards the end. I'm thinking they're just sprung a bit, but it is a nice smooth running fit on those hard-inch collets with just tiniest little imperceptible bit of play. So I think that's going to work out well. So we are going to move on to cutting the taper for the 5C collets. I didn't show setting up the compound for this taper because we showed that earlier, but this was done a little bit differently, so I'll go over that real quick. This is a 20-degree included angle on this inside lip here. So first I just set my compound to 10 degrees using the scale. Then I used my calculator to find the sine of 10 degrees, which is 173. I then set up my dial indicator and referenced it on my tailstock quill, and then just made sure that the reading on the dial indicator matched what I was getting on the calculator as I traversed through the travel of this taper, which consequently at 173 would be 173 thousandths over 1 inch. Well, this is it. It has all come down to this. So let me quit stalling and see how this fits. It seems pretty good. Okay, so there's no movement when it's in that taper. I mean, that's locked in. and I cannot even spin the collet with just a little bit of pressure on the face. Yep, I'm calling that a success. We have done it. We have a spindle nose collet, 5C collet adapter for the new lathe. Look at that. Look at how that just beautiful. Yes. All right, I'm happy. That's awesome. Well, I guess that is it for this video for now. I know that ideally we would put this in the lathe and test it at this point. However, we can't do that until we have a drawbar, which consequently we will be making in an upcoming video, so keep an eye out for that. If you have made it this far, thank you so very much. I sincerely appreciate each and every person who watches these videos, so thank you. If you feel like I've earned it, give me a like and a subscribe. If you feel like I haven't, please don't hesitate to tell me what you think I can do better in the comments down below. I guess until next time, you know, get out there, make something cool. Most importantly, have some fun. And I hope to see you all again very, very soon.